Hello, everyone. This is ACDC, Araceli and Colette, and helping you making a dynamic change. My name is Araceli, a transition wealth advisor and a real estate investor, and I help single professional women to rearrange their finances so they can get ahead faster, so they can get either retiring quicker or get rid of their debt faster. And I'm here with Colette, my partner. Colette, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. Hi, everybody. And this is the thing, what we love about the show is that we find helping our clients get financial freedom through real estate is why we do the show. So we love talking about real estate and everything that's around it in real estate and getting you the information that you deserve. And so my name is Colette Rava. I'm a real estate broker in the GTA. I love what I do. I love helping everybody. My clientele is currently based on families, but I also do help single people. Of course, I do throughout the GTA West. So, and I'm very happy to do a little presentation today
Yeah,
because,
that's awesome.
yeah,
So, as you know, we both are real estate investors. And if you are not a real estate investor and maybe you would like to kind of give it a try, I think that having an Airbnb is kind of one of the easiest things to get started.
right.
And today, Colette put together, because she owns actually an Airbnb, and she can give you 6 tips on how to make it successful and get guests coming back and back to your
Yes,
place. So,
come back and back. Yes. So I'll share my screen with everybody. The thing too is, that's the one thing that Araceli and I talk about, and we're putting together a book actually to talk about investing specifically residential properties, because there are so many different ways to slice the apple, if you want to
mm-hmm.
think that way. So for Airbnb, it actually was something that I chose to do that instead of having a full-time rental unit with a full-time long-term tenant. I really, that didn't, it really didn't sit well with me. Also, I have another property in my own house, which is my basement. And that as well is not a long-term tenant situation either. So it works for my lifestyle. So these are some of the questions that you have to ask yourself. Is something like an Airbnb right for you? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
something that you don't know anything about rentals and you're comfortable with sharing your space with someone else or doing it this way, there are lots of questions to ask yourself. And these are the things why you talk to realtors and why you talk to financial advisors, to give you that advice and to give you that guidance before you even get started.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. So one of the things that we're going to be covering in the book is, what kind of questions you need to ask yourself to find out what kind of investor you are, because
yeah,
that will determine what is the level of involvement that you want, and that can give you certain strategies to use to get started. So,
right. And the
okay.
book, like, just to talk a little bit about the book too, something that that really I find a lot of people have questions about are not based on what I want or what Araceli wants, but what your goals are. And that's the thing. We're writing this book in a way that there's going to be workbooks as well. So there are chapters on what to do. And then there's a workbook to actually get you through to answer those questions for yourself. Not because, I feel like I love Airbnbs, I'm going to push you in that direction.
Mhm.
So stay tuned for that. So let's get started, shall we?
Yeah,
I'm going to share my screen. So let me see if everybody can see that. How's that? Can you see
yeah,
that?
I can see it.
Okay, so 6 tips to create a successful Airbnb. And this is, beautiful location. I don't know if this house is actually an Airbnb, but I would stay there with the
Oh,
pool.
yeah.
I think that'd be awesome. So the most important, well, maybe not the most important thing, but one of the more important things, if you are a good host and you have a good property, guests will come back again and again. That's the hardest thing with Airbnb, is to get people to come back. It's usually a one-off situation, especially if you're in the city or, if people don't vacation, it's not a vacation spot that people want to go back. So that's something that, if depending on what kind of, if you have a business B&B, if you're interested in getting that client that is a business person who travels a lot and they want to stay, then that's something that you really should cater to that specific demographic. Same thing with, vacationers. Make sure your
Exactly.
pool is open in that
Yeah,
case, right?
there are some people that they like when they like a place, they keep coming back. They go to the same
Absolutely.
spot all the time. And if they found your place perfect for them, they're
Right.
gonna try to book again for
Right.
next year, and
Especially,
it's gonna create this experience. And then you're gonna have something that is reliable when it comes in terms of income, right?
right.
That's
And I
basically what you want. You want to have this booked all the time or the majority of the time, right?
Right, exactly. And that's, the thing that I find the most from my own personal experience is that people with kids want to know the safety of the property, where everything is your neighborhood safe? Can they go play outside on their own? Like all these things that I find specifically for that demographic for families is very, very important. And, I might go off topic as an overall because my experience is with a vacation property. So mine is a cottage. So keep that in mind when I talk, but this could go for anybody, even if you have a
Yeah.
property in the city or your own home. So these are tips that will work for everybody. So a welcome book or a reference binder, this is a must. So if you're there, the person who's going to stay, your guest is not going to continually ask you questions of like, oh, where do I do this? Or, oh, where I do that. So if you have this little binder and you go throughout your day and say, okay, you know what, if I wanted to get a pizza, where would I go? If I wanted to, if I need to go to the emergency room, where's the nearest hospital? So this is what your binder should be. All the things that you can go crazy, but like just the fundamentals of things that you really need to talk about in the property itself too. If you give them laundry, if you give them a washer and dryer, have a little bit of a step-by-step manual of how to work the washing machine, something like that.
Yeah.
Don't let them add. You don't know where these people are coming from. You don't know if they know to put how much soap. Do you put this much soap in a washing machine, or just a little bit? So things like that, don't take it for granted just because not everybody else knows stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's what this reference binder is for. And make sure on the first page you put the address. Put your address, because I don't remember. I know I'm in Toronto, but I might not remember the street name and exactly, if it's a side entrance, things like that. So make sure you write even the address on there, especially if somebody's just staying for a week. They won't remember the actual address. And then any property special feature, like the picture that we had before, if there's a pool, write down the details about the pool, because there is an element of danger, if you want to call it that way, or you want them to be safe around the pool. So write down the pool rules. Nobody swims at night, nobody swims alone. Make sure the filters are clean, things like that. And then if you have any amenities, what are you offering? Do you have internet? Do you have a toothbrush? Do you give them toiletries? Things like that, where they don't have to worry about it. It's kind of nice too to add those everyday staples that you take for granted. People forget their toothbrush all the time. I do.
Yeah.
Something like that. It just puts you over the top. It makes things really nice.
Yeah.
Area restaurants, fun things to see. Let's say you live by the biggest ball of yarn in the area. I don't know, like write that in the book. And
Yeah.
then,
Or maybe there's a big market, farmers market on the
right,
weekend,
right,
things like that are close by. The property that I own in the US, that I'm hoping to do some Airbnb as well. And, hopefully next year when
yeah,
everything comes down with COVID, it does have a huge farmers market right at the corner every Saturday.
right.
So put that in there and what they can find. So
Oh yeah, and any little secret things that like I know a little secret beach down the street from me. There's these parks that they have little, secret things about them. So even if you write a few little things about that in the book, if they read it, if they don't, who cares? But at least it's in there. So if
yeah,
that's something that they're there, because that's what some people do. They come in, They want to unwind for the afternoon or whenever their check-in is. And then they have this book and they can sit down and, just look through the book, and it's something that they don't have to memorize, but at least that information is there. And then if the information isn't there, then you also leave your number in the book too, to
Yeah.
say, if you have any questions, please text me anytime or email me or call me, whatever you want.
Yeah.
So that goes under emergency numbers, which is the last thing. So not everybody knows what 911 is if they're coming from a different country.
Yeah.
So it's important.
And
Okay.
there's also different things that will appeal to different people. If you have like a big trail that people like to walk, I'm not a big walker, but if I go somewhere, I like to kind of explore the area. So that would be really nice.
Right. Or even to say, like, even in the book, to say, you know what, the area is really safe. Don't worry about this or that. Like in my Airbnb, I say, you don't have to leave the windows open. And people are shocked. They're like, really? Like, especially people, I know a few people that are from Central or South America, and they go, leave the windows open.
Yeah.
What? You're just asking for trouble. So
yeah.
stuff like that, where you have to tell people, they might not know. They might. And even honestly, when I first went to the county, when I was by myself, I was a little bit scared too, because I didn't know what it was like. So if you can remember that moment of when you first were introduced to the area, and then say, oh my gosh, it's so quiet, like the crickets are so loud. Like, that's why I close the windows, not because I'm scared of people breaking in. Anyway, so the other thing too is, so tip number 2 is something like, you always want to do your research. You have to make sure that there's no surprises. So this is way too late at this point to find out about your municipalities or the bylaws and the condo bylaws of your area, if Airbnb is even allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they don't, even in the condos, they don't allow it because they don't want this kind of traffic in and out of strangers and these, the potential of parties and the potential of noise and things like that. They'd rather not have it. So sometimes in the bylaws, it'll say specifically not allowed. So even if you buy a condo, read that bylaw before you buy it if you're interested in doing an Airbnb. So, and then there's also something else too. Let's say you have to get a permit for that area. If you're, let's say, in Toronto and they don't allow Airbnbs, actually New York City is a big one. So imagine going to New York City and then finding out that somebody knocks on your door and says, hey, you can't stay here. This is an Airbnb. It's illegal, and they get kicked out. So, I mean, that's kind of like who's actually policing the Airbnbs. Like, it might be, and that's the thing with condos. Your neighbor might be on the board, and they're going to call right away if they even sniff that. Oh my gosh, I saw somebody with a suitcase. You have to make sure that you're safe. So don't have any surprises with that, especially with your guests, to be surprised and having a knock on the door. And other things too, as far as like plumbing, water, things like that. If something goes wrong and you're far away, make sure you have another person that is local that can troubleshoot for you if you need that. So that's very important. So no surprises. Tip number 2. Tip number 3, you want to take this one?
Oh yeah. So one of the very first things is that your guests want to have everything clean, and it doesn't matter what it is. You may have maybe different standards, but when it comes down to other people, you don't know what their standards are. So you have to really go kind of top of the line clean when it comes down to the bathroom, the kitchen, if there is a kitchen available, or a kitchenette, right? The microwave, it's famous. I've been to places that you can see the food stuck in there, and it's just like, I don't want to touch it, right?
Right.
So you want to have everything really clean. Of course, if you have amenities like toothbrush and everything has to be wrapped up or new, so they know that it's new. And obviously the bed is kind of like the most important thing, that is done correctly, that you can see that the sheets are clean. It will provide that feeling of like I'm home, and this fuzzy feeling that you're in a safe place.
Yeah, and the other thing, like this, I have another tip that this goes hand in hand with, but the thing that I found the most with my own personal place is people would every season I would have a broken umbrella, my sun umbrella. That's why I wrote it down there because it's something that you don't normally check. So you have to think like you're the cleaning person that doesn't know anything about your house. So the less clutter you have, the easier it is for them to eyeball if anything is broken or if anything is missing.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way they can report back to you to say, oh, you know what, there's supposed to be 7 knives and there's
Yeah.
only 3. So they just have to open the drawer, look in to see visually what's there. And also that's my big pet peeve that I've gone to Airbnbs and the dishes aren't clean. So cleaning people don't go and clean them. You know, you have to tell your cleaning people specifically, just eyeball the dishes and make sure everything is clean because people tend to not be as clean as you, the owner. I hate to say it. So when they put back, they might just throw pots and pans in the dishwasher. And if the dishwasher doesn't do a good job, they just take it out and they throw it in the drawer and not actually look at it. So these are the things that make sure you get a really good cleaning person too. So I should have
Yeah.
added that to
Yeah.
this.
So just basically check everything before the next guest comes in, just in
Yeah.
case.
And it's hard though. If you have a big place, it's quite hard. So that's why tip number 4 is about decor and clutter. So if you have certain, you know, have the not the standard, there is no standard, but let's say you have enough space for 6 people, at least have 6 plates, 6 cups, 6, you know,
Mm-hmm.
sets of cutlery. And then that way, you know, when it goes to counting, if everything is there, anything is missing, it's easy. It's all the same number. So that really doesn't have anything to do with decor, but in the grand scheme of things, it does because you want this overall look to your place. And you know, I took this picture because it was all that I like the color scheme. And what they did, you don't see a lot of clutter. There it's all very white and sparse if you want to say sparse, but it's tasteful. And
Mm-hmm.
believe it or not, people really crave that. They don't want to have to stumble over things. They don't want to have to walk through and then bump into a table to get to the sofa. So making sure your coffee table is the right size for the space, making sure that you have that. See, the one thing I don't like about this is the rugs, to be quite honest. Rugs are not my favorite in rentals because people spill on them. So the only thing I would do in this room, I would take out the rugs. So, or just put the rug where the couch is,
Yeah.
but not where the dining, because people are eating there. So you know you're going to get spills on that rug.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my little thing. But anyway, so the very, very simple thing that if you don't know anything about decorating, the easiest thing you can do is get the same color. So the same wood tones, the same legs, let's say on the furniture, the same style of furniture. So see the sofa and the chair in that picture, they're the same. They have this little detail of tacks.
Yeah.
So things like that, it's all very copacetic. Like everything matches, everything is sort of neutral and nice. There isn't a lot of artwork in this area either. And artwork is really interesting because even let's say in my background, so you see the artwork, it's very it's abstract. It's not like, oh, it's a naked woman or something.
Yeah, well, people take offense sometimes. It might mean something to them that, it might mean something different to you. But if you have maybe flowers, is pretty neutral,
Right,
plants or landscapes, something abstract that has just colors splashed on it.
exactly.
It doesn't really mean anything to anybody, and it's just there to kind of
Right,
brighten
or
it up the
shades, you know,
place.
just, sorry, like this artwork, just
Yeah.
shapes like that. So, and also if you're really stuck with artwork and you don't know what to do, then hang a mirror. Mirrors are fantastic because people like to see themselves in the space. So mirrors are excellent, and also because they want to see if they look good too. If they're going out or something, you need a mirror at
Yeah.
least in the place. And you know, before you even get started, use inspirational photos. There's tons of stuff on the internet, just like how I found that and make sure when you start setting things up, take photos of the space because every different angle, this is how people are going to choose your Airbnb from these photographs. So the photographs have to be from every angle, from every little which way, to make your property look its best and biggest. That's what, hands down, people want to be like wowed that the place is so big when they get there. So that's one thing. And it doesn't have to, I'm not saying you have to get a big place, but the photos have to show it in a very good light. And that's why you get clients to come back, because the photos are accurate of the space.
Exactly. And the more pictures you put in there, the better, because they can get different angles of where they're going to be. So they can have a little bit of an idea how big the space is. Sometimes some pictures are very deceiving because the angle that they're taking. And if you only have one picture, you might think that the space is bigger or smaller, whichever it is,
You
right?
can always edit later. You can always take the pictures out later, but absolutely, I agree with you. The more pictures, the better. And then that way you get to see what your place looks like on a picture, as opposed to being in real life. Because a lot of, I don't know, I think I was just looking at pictures yesterday, and it was kind of funny where I would see like close-ups of a flower vase or of a
Yeah.
pillow.
I've seen that a lot in many different places. And, I know it's nice when it comes down to decorating, but really, are they going to leave it?
Yeah,
So,
it's not, that's not going to make any difference. I want to see how, fluffy the bed is. I want to see the blankets. I want to see the comfort that I'm going to be in. I want to see the kitchen amenities. I want to see the fridge and the stove and how clean it is. Like
yeah,
those are and how many people can sit at a table. That's the other thing too. If you say I can, this property is good for 6 people,
yeah.
there better be 6 chairs at the table. There's nothing worse than saying, yeah, you can fit 6 people, but then there's a cot that pulls out, and then, somebody has to sleep on the floor, and then you only have 4 chairs. So what? People are going to take turns eating? It's really funny. So that's important too.
Yeah.
So tip number 5, great communication. This, you would be surprised at how people lack the proper communication that people need or they desire. So from the beginning of the inquiry, to be in over communication is better than under communication. And it's how you communicate. You're not going to call them every day and say, hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? How's everything? How's everything? Because you don't want to interrupt their daily routine. So I love contacting people through email or text. It's not evasive. It's something that people are used to, and they appreciate it, to say, hi, just checking in. Do you have any questions? And then once they're there, you can say, about midway, I usually send a little text or an email saying, hi, just checking in. How's everything? Do you have any questions? And usually the feedback is, oh my God, you are amazing. Like, thank you for checking up on us. Everything is great. But we had a question about 1, 2, 3, whatever simple thing. Sometimes it's a simple thing, like the door doesn't want to latch. And I go, just slam the door and it's fine. Things like that. That they're shy, they don't want to do it. But if I say just pull the handle, it's something that you take for granted. You do it naturally anyway, just because you're used to it. They're new, they don't know. So things like that. And just to reiterate too, how they can reach you. Please don't be shy. Reach out to me, because you want to troubleshoot the problems before they happen or while they're happening. And you can make that phone call to your handyman or to the property manager to say, hey, there's an emergency, go over there. Sometimes, you don't want people to sit on a problem that it's going to be a bigger problem later, right? So that's the last thing, to have a backup person. Try and have a backup person if you can, if you're far. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, if you're in the same house or if you're a few minutes away, then it's okay. But property manager, it's important. So tip number 6, this is
Yay.
when I go away, I want to make sure I can get a good night's sleep. I am on vacation. This is my vacation. I want a nice, big, fluffy bed. So, and this is the thing, not everybody wants a big, fluffy bed. Some people want more of a firm bed. So things like that, don't worry too much about it, personal preference. But what you should offer is two kinds of pillows, a firmer pillow and a softer pillow. And for anything over a double bed, so if you think 2 people can sleep in a double bed, queen or king, always have 4 pillows, 2 firm and 2 soft. And then that way, whoever's sleeping in there can interchange. And then if you have single beds, I would say 2 pillows, 1 firm and 1 soft. And then that way, if there are other people too, that let's say somebody's single person is sleeping in a double bed, but somebody else needs an extra pillow, it's fine. You have tons of pillows. I know it sounds ridiculous to have so many pillows, but believe me, if people don't like them, they just throw them on the floor. That's okay. Same thing with comforters or with blankets. I like sleeping with a heavy blanket, even in the summer. My husband hated it. He always wanted to sleep with just a sheet because, you know, I guess men are just hot all the time. I don't know.
This is the opposite with me.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he likes the big pillows and everything on top of him because he's usually cold, right?
Yeah.
So he's like,
Okay.
he's wrapped up, and I'm like, I'm hot.
Right, but at least you have options. Yeah. So when you make a bed like a hotel. You always use the top cover, the fitted first, then the flat, and then you put your comforter. And I even have like duvets that have everything is washable.
Yeah.
So to go back to the cleaning tip, that was the other thing too that I wanted to say. Because of COVID, some Airbnbs now, including myself, I don't offer bedding. So if somebody, because right now nobody's coming from overseas, it's all Ontarians, so they can pack their own linens and bring their own linens because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
You know, eventually it's going to probably next year it's going to change again. But this is something that if people are not comfortable with sleeping in, you know, even though I'm telling you, I wash the sheets all the time, the blankets, they might prefer their own blanket. So that's okay, but you have to tell them up front. The other thing too, because of COVID, I would wrap the remote control for the TVs and things like that, because
plastic,
I wanted people to know that this was wiped and cleaned. So again, now that things are loosening up a little bit, I'm not doing all that. Still, the cleaning protocol is very strict, but I don't go that extra step of like wrapping things up anymore. So yeah, so great night's sleep. The one thing that you have to remember is variety, right? So make sure you have enough pillows, make sure you have enough blankets or comforters. If personally speaking, I don't wear earplugs, but I know some people are very sensitive to noise. So leave some earplugs. You can get a ton of them from the dollar store for practically nothing. They're all individually wrapped too, which is great. I really like blackout curtains when I'm sleeping. I like it very dark. I also, so not only I'm super sensitive to light, not only do I have blackout curtains, but I also wear an eye mask. Mm. So if people obviously can bring their own eye masks if they're that sensitive, but if you have blackout curtains, especially for babies or kids and they take naps during the day, oh my gosh, people do notice that. They actually will make a comment to say, oh, the room was great. It was so nice and dark. Same thing with temperature. You know, everybody's a little bit different. So if you don't have central air or heat, then make sure you have an extra portable heater just in case, or an air conditioner, window air conditioner. If they need it, they can install it. Or if you have a handyman to, you know, call and say, hey, you know what, it's August, I think it's time for the air conditioners to go in. That's something you can just have on the side. Keep that in mind. It's quite important to make people comfortable. Again, I've had so many people say, I went into this beautiful Airbnb, it was great, and then the humidity was killing us. No air conditioning, no fans.
Ooh.
So, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing, you know. With temperature for people, it's totally different, right? Like it has nothing to do with personal preference. Some people like it cold. Some people like it a little bit warmer, some in between. So you kind of have to cater to both of them and have, like I said, like a portable heater. It might help. And also just a fan, maybe that would be great, right?
Right. So I have somebody in my basement currently, and the basement's always going to be colder anyway, just the way central air works, right? Or even in the winter when seasons change, I find the basement stays colder when it, you know, it goes upstairs. It's always warmer. Basement is always colder. That's sort of natural for North American basements. But I'm always nervous that he's too cold. So I'll text him every once in a while and say, hey, do you need a heater? Are you okay? He's like, no, it's the summer. Like, I'm fine. So that's something, at least you're giving them the option. and it makes them feel more comfortable. You want them to feel welcome.
Yeah. And the
Right?
thing is that you also don't want everybody to keep calling you because they're either hot or
Yes.
cold. So they
Right.
have there something that they can use to say, oh, well, I'm cold. There's a heater here that I can use, right?
Right, right.
And
Or a
that
heavy blanket. Yeah, absolutely. So, and the funny thing too is don't wait till it gets too hot, because then you know there's no air conditioners for sale. Like everybody else is feeling the same thing and you're going to be stuck. So make sure you get something like a portable heater or air conditioner off season, because you know it's going to come, you know it's going to be hot. You know you're going to need it eventually.
yeah,
So even if they don't use it, these things like window air conditioners are really inexpensive. You can get them and put them in anytime and take them out quite easily. In my opinion, might be a little bit different if you're like living on the 20th story of an apartment and the window doesn't fit exactly, things like that. So maybe some research has to be done about that before you go ahead and buy it.
mm,
And the one thing too that I've personally complained about when I've gone to Airbnbs is they have a mattress protector, which I recommend everybody should have even in their own homes, that aren't plastic. So there are mattress protectors that wrap up and they zip up around the mattress. But then when you lie on them, all you hear is crinkle, crinkle, crinkle. So don't get the plastic ones. Change them out. There's lots of better options. They might be a little more expensive, but totally worth it.
yeah,
And we
absolutely.
have a bonus tip. Bonus
Yay!
tip. So, and that's a little something extra. So I find that when you really want guests to be welcome, to feel welcome, just have little, it doesn't have to be expensive, it doesn't have to be grandiose, but it's a gesture of a welcome basket, or you have little cookies, or you have some little, I have freezies in the freezer sometimes for the kids. And it really makes a difference. And people are shy, so you have to say, hey, these are for you. Help yourself. I want you to feel comfortable and have a good little you are on vacation, you're allowed to eat a cookie. So
Yeah,
go knock yourself out.
that's right. And this makes a big difference because, I stayed a couple of different Airbnbs, and one of them that really stand out, we got actually a fresh loaf of bread.
Like a baguette or something, yeah.
Yeah, like a baguette, and they had also the dip with it,
Oh,
and
nice.
also and a bottle of wine. So it
Oh,
was really really nice when you came in, and a couple of chocolate, just the
yeah.
small ones.
Well,
So it was really nice because you come in, you're tired, you just want to sit down and relax, and
relax for a
these
minute.
things are
Yeah.
there. Oh, this is great, right? So
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
have
No,
to go
so
out.
yeah,
So
I
yeah,
do that too. And I
excellent.
also leave bottles of water in the fridge, because one thing people, especially people that are coming from somewhere that the water really is not drinkable in there where they
Hmm.
live, they think it's like that in the rest of the world. So even though, the tap water in Ontario is fantastic, my opinion, and not everywhere, but where I'm living and where my place is, the water I drink from the tap every day. So I know it's safe to drink, and I know it's tasty. So people don't know that. So even sometimes in the note that I leave, I'll leave a handwritten note and I'll say, just so to let you know, there are bottles of water in the fridge, but feel safe to drink the tap water. It's delicious. You
Hmm.
can brush your teeth, you can drink it, you can cook with it. There's absolutely no problem. And the other thing too, with cottage country, some people have wells,
Yes.
and well water has a very specific taste that not everybody really likes. So if that's the case, or if you feel like you're in an area that your water really isn't good, like look at Mexico, look at
Yep.
some places, other places in the Caribbean, then have that tank of water, one of those water filtered things that you can just go and take water from it. So you don't have to go, and you can still be somewhat environmentally friendly when you get those bottles, the big, I'm talking about the big
Yep.
jugs of water, as opposed to getting single serving water. So things like that you can do, and it's just a nice touch. If they choose to not use it and drink the tap water, then it's nothing, not a big deal, right? So yeah, so that's it. Those are my little tips.
This is awesome. And the thing is, remember, uh, having an Airbnb is a business, so treat it as that, and a very good and entry level way to experience real estate investing. because
Absolutely.
then you have an opportunity to deal with people, to find out if you like that, and also, how the experience went, how much work is it. If you are renting part of your house and you're there and you're going to be doing the cleaning, how is
Right.
how much time are you spending doing this? All of these will give you the opportunity to figure out if real estate investing is for you. So
Yeah. And you know what? It's quite nice if you have, let's say you have a hobby that you really love to do. Let's say, so for me, I'll use me as an example. I love to do pottery, but I never get to do it. But if I
mm,
had an Airbnb that I actually offered that, I find Airbnb is really going to that in that direction where they're offering experiences. It's not just come and stay,
yeah,
but it's also like come and stay and do some artwork while you're here, or come and stay and learn how to learn a new language,
yeah,
or uh, help uh, with the farming the land or something like that. Like there are people, that's been a long time, you know, for centuries, people have gone and taken people in to help with their farms.
hmm,
So if that's something that, and people love that, like to go and stay on a farm that you're a city dweller and you really have never even
yeah.
petted a horse before.
Exactly. And that is something that, it's a different experience, and try to kind of point out everything that is different about your place that you
Right.
might take for granted. That is just there. Like
Yeah,
if you have animals, right?
sure.
Uh, you can tell people, there's, like, I don't know, pigs or sheep or whatever it is, right?
Right.
That might be accessible to it. You might be able to, if you have horses, you may want to just offer like a ride or something,
Sure.
for an extra cost or included, whatever you want to do, right? So,
Exactly. Yeah. Or even, and you'd be surprised. Like people love cooking classes. Like there's so many
yeah,
people that want to learn the cuisine of the area that they're staying in. So, Canada, okay, what kind of cuisine do we have? But let's say I go to Italy. I would love that. I would love to learn how to make pasta from scratch, or, pizza. Tell me how to make a proper pizza crust. Like that's
yeah,
something that you might take for granted that you know how to do, but holy smokes, I would love that experience.
yeah,
So don't diminish what you have to offer because you think, nobody wants that. You never
hmm,
know.
yeah. So
Hmm.
that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this interesting, let us know. Share with somebody that might be thinking about doing an Airbnb, or just leave us your comments, something that maybe we left out. So,
Yes,
and
please.
yeah, and we'll see you next week with another episode and a little bit more about the book. Okay,
Yay. Thanks,
bye,
everybody. Have a great day.
bye.